EdtechMondays Uganda is supported by the Mastercard Foundation Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning in partnership with the Innovation Village. Welcome to this month's edition of EdtechMondays. The show is sponsored by the Mastercard Foundation Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning in partnership with the Innovation Village. As we speak, climate change driven by carbon emissions is the world's biggest environmental crisis today. This is evidenced by the massive floods, the raging wildfires, and unpredictable weather patterns, prolonged droughts, and intense heat waves. In sub-Saharan Africa, it is estimated that about 12 million children drop out of school every single year due to climate-related disruptions. Now, a report by the Ministry of Education right here in Uganda states that over 100 schools were temporarily closed due to flood damage in 2022 alone, affecting more than 30,000 students. So what does this really mean? We need to speak sustainable edtech solutions. So joining us today is a great panel to uncover the transformative potential of sustainable edtech solutions in shaping a brighter, eco-conscious future for education in Uganda and beyond. Joining us is Miss Nabatanzi Goreti, Mr. Munyaneza Edward, and Miss Mabo Hasfa. A very good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. I want to start with Miss Nabatanzi Goreti, and I just want to give each one of you a second just to tell us about yourselves.
Thank you so much. Good evening. I'm Nabatanzi Goreti. I'm a passionate advocate for technology and a software developer.
We're happy to have you on the panel today.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Mabo Hasfa, thank you for joining us this evening. What do you do?
I'm a literacy advocate and an author. I'm currently developing an AI-powered reading app for children. So I'm very glad and happy to be sitting here discussing, edutech solutions that are also climate-friendly and sustainable.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. Munyanez Edward.
Thank you, Mera, and good evening. My name is Edward Munyaneza. I work as the Quality Education Manager at Building Tomorrow, and I'm delighted to be here to talk about education, technology, and sustainability.
We're excited to have you. And before we dive into the topic of the day, we just want to encourage you to follow the link that you're seeing on the screen to sign up or get to know more about EdtechMondays, but also be part of the conversation by using the hashtag EdtechMondays. And there's also going to be a QR code that you can simply scan and you get more information about EdTech. And maybe you want to get into this space, this is the right time for you to simply sign up. Now, diving into our conversation today, we all know that education is a basic human right, at least according to SDG 4, but quality education is the necessity, it is needed. But right now, the world entirely is talking about climate change, talking about environmental hazards, and these directly affect education. So starting with you, Ms. Hasfa, what does sustainability look like for you in the edtech space?
I think for me, sustainability in the edtech space starts with us, the developers who are developing and implementing edtech solutions. Right from the hardware, are we thinking about solutions that are going to be energy efficient when we're designing them? Are we thinking about solutions that are also going to be solar powered integrated? Are we thinking about integrating the community as we're designing these solutions, and thinking about localization of the materials that we're designing? And in the long run, how are we reducing the carbon print of whatever we're bringing in and bringing sustainability in the solutions that we're providing, so that as we're doing the edutech, we are not adding to, but we're actually subtracting from the carbon print that we are contributing to.
Mr. Munyaneza Edward, do you believe that edtech entrepreneurs currently are very appreciative of the idea of sustainability? Is it something they have at the back of their minds before they initiate an edtech solution?
Thank you very much. The edtech developers, I think, are considerate of sustainability in basically all innovations. There are very many guiding frameworks on innovation, and sustainability tends to be an issue that is cross-cutting. in that regard.
So how do we incorporate it then in the edtech space? If we are to say, let's integrate sustainability into the core principles of edtech, how should we start?
So sustainability, I'll speak at least for Building Tomorrow and the work we do. Sustainability, we believe, should be an effort that is community-led or grassroots driven. We run on a mission of community-powered learning, and so sustainability should cater for the members in the community. I'd like maybe to share some stats for all EdTech developers and basically enthusiasts in the space. I think according to the National Housing Census, only 2% of households in the country own a tablet or laptop like this one. And when it comes to other devices, I think the radio is at around 34%, and the basic and the telephone. The stats, I think, show that around 74% of households in the country own at least a telephone in the home. So when you're designing your EdTech solution, it's important to have this information and know the product I'm designing. If I'm designing it to be delivered over television, what proportion am I going to be reaching? If I'm designing it to be delivered over tablet, then who am I designing for? The more community members we involve, the better.
The more community members we involve, the better. And that, of course, brings in yet another aspect. Speaking of community, what are some of those initiatives that the EdTech initiatives that you've seen in society?
I think the one that I've witnessed was in Bukedia, whereby the whole community library, they have tablets, but the tablets are also solar powered. So they, as much as there's no electricity and everything, they're able to sustain, but also it's very climate friendly. And one of the key aspects that I saw on the solution that they had is that there was a huge component where the children had access to massive information on climate change, like from what is climate change, what is my contribution, what is my role, both that are animated and audio books, but both for the children and the adults in the communities, and also localized into the local language in that particular area. I think for me that was very outstanding as a contribution to this.
Well, Gority, I want us to speak to the examples that are working. Some of the sustainable EdTech solutions that are working in the various communities. Are there those that you've interacted with and you were truly intrigued, because of the kind of work they're doing in the communities?
Yeah, exactly. For example, I've worked with an electronic waste management system whereby it tries to collect the kind of resources that are disposed, and it always has kinds of visualization where we look at the insights of how data or the devices that are being used in terms of the EdTech solutions are being disposed. And this kind of information can actually be used for decision making.
The various EdTech startups in this country, when we speak about sustainability, there's someone out there who's actually still confused and saying, what do they actually mean by sustainability? Is there anyone who'd like to actually speak directly to that? Because everyone, be it in various disciplines or businesses, the aspect of sustainability, how are you going to link to the next 10, 5, 20 years is persistent. So an EdTech startup, how do they start their sustainability journey? Who would confidently speak on that? Ms. Mago? Navatazi?
The basic about
it.
Yes.
Okay.
Speaking to sustainability, I would like to
an EdTech startup.
Yeah, to an EdTech startup. First off, I think the idea of EdTech is exciting, not only to the developers, but to the learners themselves. But I would like to point us to, I think, a study by the World Bank and the Global Education Monitoring Report that categorizes solutions into, there are those they call great buys, smart buys, and the bad buys. Unfortunately, most of the EdTech solutions, while exciting currently, may not have good research to speak to their effectiveness. So aspects of provisioning of equipment like tablets and computers, while exciting, it alone would be categorized as a bad buy. We'll need to provide this equipment, but also train the teachers that are going to be relying on these technologies to support learners. Also train the learners to be able to navigate these technologies and get good learning gains out of them.
Disposal of hardware equipment. All of you are our panel speakers. You keep on talking about hardware equipment when we're installing hardware equipment. When it comes to disposal, you know, we've seen it happening all over. How the disposal of these hardware equipment is either directly affects the environment in one or the other. So how do we speak to the concept of protecting the environment while incorporating EdTech within our spaces? Edward.
So thank you very much. And that's a brilliant question. I'll speak to there are standard frameworks to that also include what aspects to measure in a given technology's impact on the environment. There is a standard, I think, called the environmental impact assessment, or also the social environmental impact assessment. These include frameworks like the equipment you're using, from the time it is produced to the time it is disposed. How much energy is it going to be consuming while running? And also, what is the source of that energy? Is it renewable energy like hydroelectricity, or it's going to be powered by a generator running on fossil fuels? So even also for all like school administrators out there, especially those like in the urban areas, when you are thinking about a stable power supply, when the power goes off and the children hear a standby generator running, what message are you sending to them? How about maybe you start thinking about off-grid solutions that are clean? If you can afford a generator costing so much millions of money, I think probably with the right information, that person can also afford to install a solar panel to be able to light the school. The children grow up seeing this, and then when they get to places of making decisions, they are equipped with the information and experiences to be able to make decisions that are friendly to the environment.
Great. Thank you so much, panel speakers. We'll now take a short break, but once again, be part of this conversation on the transformative power of sustainable EdTech solutions. And we do want to encourage you to follow the hashtag EdtechMondays on our social media platforms, but also do scan the QR code that you're currently seeing on the screen, and you get more information about EdtechMondays. And if you are an EdTech startup or planning to join this space, this is the right time for you to actually scan that or follow the link to sign up. We'll take a short break and we'll be back shortly. EdtechMondays Uganda is supported by the MasterCard Foundation Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning in partnership with the Innovation Village. Welcome back. Glad you're still watching EdtechMondays. The show is sponsored by the MasterCard Foundation Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning in partnership with the Innovation Village. Now, once again, we'd like you to be part of EdtechMondays, but how would you be part of it if you don't have a right information about it? This is why we want you to scan the QR code and follow the link to sign up, and you get all the information that you need in regards to what the show is all about or what it wants to promote. Now, once again, we're speaking about the transformative power of sustainable EdTech solutions, and I want us to once again speak about the examples that are working, just for us to pick notes, to compare and see for the EdTech startups that are out there, how do they then get back and say, let's improve in this aspect. I want to start with you, Goreti. Once again, what are some of the examples that are working outside their sustainable EdTech solutions?
Thank you very much. One of the examples of the EdTech initiatives, we have the Mobi Stations by UNICEF. It's more like a digital school in a box. So they have a solar panel, laptop, and a tablet, whereby the tablet is always preloaded with the educative and interactive software for learners, and they always ensure that in case of any power shortages, education is always going on. And in addition, we also have the solar schools. So the solar schools mainly focuses on the secondary and the primary schools in a way that they provide solar panels to the remote areas to enable like regional development. Yes.
Ms. Margot, when we talk about examples again, what is that EdTech solution, sustainable EdTech solution in your community again that you feel is getting it right?
So I'll give the example of the SOMA app, our AI-powered integrated reading app that is both multilingual and is also designed in coordination with the educators and in the community. But also for us, what is key is that the books that children are going to access in here, it's mostly for reading. And the books that are integrated in here, at least 60% of the books are training them on climate awareness. So they can either watch animated versions, listen to an audiobook, or be able to read an ebook. But in this way, you're diversifying the way you're spreading the information, but also you're giving them educative information that is fun. And in the long run, they will take care of a system like this because they were involved in the integration of the system.
There are definitely concerns about electronic waste. We've spoken about that briefly, but the concept of responsible disposal or recycling of outdated EdTech equipment, how do we approach that?
I think it should first of all start with the government in a way that it establishes e-waste management policies such that people are aware about the laws and penalties that can come in a way that you are poorly disposing the electronic devices in the community.
You get penalized.
Yes.
Okay, before the government puts in place a law, what do we do as the EdTech startups? What measures do we put in place? Margot, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, I think when we're designing the hardware, are we thinking of hardware that is very eco-friendly and is disposable, but also, like Edward said about organizations like Fundi Boats, hardware, sometimes this hardware doesn't have to be disposed of. It can be reused for other purposes. So when we're designing, we need to think of, okay, if it reaches 5 years and it's not going to serve that purpose, what else then can it be used for? And if it must be disposed, is it environmental friendly? And then how are people guided on how to dispose of it? But I do not really agree with so much of disposal because most of these things can be reused. A broken phone, sometimes children can put it apart and then use it to develop robotics that we're talking about, pick out the wires, pick out the batteries, simple things like that. So as designers and implementers, maybe those are things that we need to think about at the back of our minds and provide it. In the long term, this is what the solution is going to do, but 5 years from now, you'll be able to break it down and use it for this. Yes.
What are some of the potential economic benefits of investing in sustainable EdTech solutions?
I think one of the best economic benefits is that it promotes innovation in the country in a way that the inventors themselves of the EdTech solutions have the ability of, sitting down and focusing on creating, for example, the renewable energy resources like the solar panels, the portable solar kits, and maybe they can also make use of the biogas in a way that they work with bioplants that are able to convert the waste into energy that can be used to provide power in case of any power shortages. Yeah.
Generally, I get the impression that even though we've seen the floods happening, the heat waves, everything, people are still stuck in their own way of doing things.
That's a different generation.
You think?
Yeah, like the young generation between the millennials and the Gen Z.
Yes.
Honestly, the solutions that they are providing, they are very climate. They have climate awareness at the back of their mind, and also they're thinking long term. Where do I see my planet, and where is the next generation going to be? That's the one that is still stuck in the old ways. It's a whole different generation.
Please allow me to take you back before we conclude. Let's speak about the policy interventions that we need to facilitate the process of adopting sustainable EdTech solutions in Uganda. Edward, is this something you'd like to contribute to, or Ms. Margot probably you could speak more on the policy interventions that we need to support sustainable EdTech solutions in Uganda?
I think on that policy, we need to look at what is key is not everyone developing a solution and putting it out there. Mm-hmm. What is the policy? What are the processes and procedures you go through, the testing, and who approves this app of yours or this hardware that you're putting out? And then what are the disposable mechanisms that you're putting in place, but also what are the standardization laws that are governing whatever solution that you're putting out there? Because otherwise you have 1 billion solutions out there, but not achieving the outcome that we want to achieve. Yes.
So we need a policy that monitors and evaluates all the way.
Yes.
Edward, your thoughts
Yeah.
on the policy interventions?
Thank you so much. I think EdTech and technology in general, while exciting, needs to be guided by research. It's very important for EdTech developers to implement maybe research-backed interventions, and also to maybe participate in the process of creating evidence for these interventions. On the side of policy, I think government is very keen on this. The level of policies we developed are informed by research. Yeah, so I would speak on that note. I would speak to that. Evidence. Our policies should be informed by evidence, and EdTech developers should also have this in mind when developing a solution.
Okay. Ms. Gority, your very last remarks to an EdTech startup out there that would like to incorporate the concept of sustainability in their operations.
Thank you so much. In conclusion, startup EdTech companies or universities, all schools out there should make sure that they work with the latest technology innovations in a way that they can actually build e-waste management systems. They could also be renewable sources like biomass software products that can be able to manage how bioplants actually create the waste into energy such that we have electricity in place. And lastly, they can also ensure that they are up to date with the latest softwares that are in line with sustainability.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nabatanzi Gority. Yes, over to you, Edward. Your very last remarks. You seem to have an extra point, but please take it away.
I didn't know we were doing last remarks, but last remark is on the technology in its nature has always been an enabler. From agriculture to transport, once a technology comes through, it increases productivity. In other words, there is need in the education space, because I think the recent report by the Global Education Monitoring points to a lack of teachers. Based on the recommended teacher to student pupil ratio of 1 to 40, we have a shortage of around 50,000 teachers. So that means there is need in the space. If we can have a technology that enables the teachers to be more productive, in other words, be able to engage as many children as possible or support them in that regard, then we are on track. So there is clearly need. But most importantly is the aspect of research. While exciting, there is little evidence, at least in the space currently, to speak to the effectiveness of EdTech solutions in improving learning outcomes. I would like to end by sharing with us a study that we did in partnership with Youth Impact. It was a multi-country randomized control trial that actually showed that one of our EdTech solution, the phone-based learning solution, in the times of course, school closures or COVID, its effectiveness was equivalent to 1.1 years, adjusted years of schooling. In other words, going through a small contact time with this program, a learner was able to gain as much foundational skills as they would have gotten if they were in school for 1.1 years. So it's important to, one, rely on evidence to create your EdTech solution, but also it's important to know that there is need. We have limited resource in terms of personnel, and so any solution that enables the existing little resource to maximize output is much needed.
It's much needed. So big thank you to all of you, dear speakers, for joining us this evening to speak about such a very important, timely conversation, sustainable edtech solutions and how much they could transform education in Uganda. Thank you, Goretti. Thank you, Haspa. And thank you so much, Edward, for joining us here on EdTech Mondays. And thank you as well for being such a wonderful audience. But once again, we do want to encourage you to be part of the EdTech Mondays show using the hashtag on our social media platforms. And even you can go ahead and share with us what you think needs to be done to ensure that we have the concept of sustainability in our EdTech solutions. And again, if you want to know more about EdTech Mondays, there is a QR code. All you have to do is scan it, and you get all the information you need. But there is also going to be a link, and you can simply follow it to sign up and know more about EdTech Mondays. So thank you once again for being part of us. Once again, the show is sponsored by the Mastercard Foundation Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning in partnership with the Innovation Village. I've been your host, Sandra Kahomza Twina Video.